It's the 11th of January 2019. I'm David Griffin. I'm here at Quarndon Cricket Club and I'm talking tonight to
Lee Gregory, I'm the secretary of the club.
Robin Williamson, ex-player.
Chris Storr, full team captain and treasurer.
Bev Sanders, ex-player and for my sins chairman at the moment.
Well, we'll start with you then, Bev, because
you.
you're currently chair. When did you first, you're proudly wearing your Quarndon CC top. When did your association with Quarndon begin then?
Well, I've been coming up here for as long as I remember. My father started playing here in 1960, I think, 1961. Unfortunately, he's not been with us for a long time, but both myself and my brother sort of grew up watching him play cricket at Quarndon, and then I started playing. We didn't have a junior set up at the time, so I started playing when they were short on a Sunday, adult cricket, and then we formed a second team a bit further down the line, mid-70s, so I started playing in that, and I've been playing at various levels ever since really. I packed up, or tried to pack up about 3 or 4 years ago, but I made the mistake of telling the fourth team captain and Steve Hollis, who runs the cricket, that if you're short I won't let you down. So I do still get regular calls, but they're kind of tailing off now. So
there's a theme emerging in all the interviews we do with local clubs of people like you who claim to have retired, but you always seem to get dragged back for the odd game.
It's like a tattoo, isn't it? You know, you just sort of. But yeah, I don't train anymore, and you know, I turn out when they're short really, which seems to happen a lot these days. Most clubs are short players, aren't they?
So you're currently
Fourth team captain and treasurer.
So you're still playing?
Still playing for my sins.
So how far back does your playing association
I came
go?
here in '85.
Right.
Having played my formative cricket in Yorkshire in the Airedale and Wharfdale League.
Right.
Came down here with my job in '85. I was playing rugby down at Kedleston Road, and a chap called Joe Underhill, who you'll remember, said, "Do you play cricket?" And I did, and he invited me to come and play at Quarndon.
Right.
I netted at Belper Meadows with Stuart and a few others. And I've been here ever since, other than a 5-year spell when I went away with work and came back.
What was the standard like then? What sort of team were you playing? Because we're moving into an era, presumably, where overseas players.
Yeah, I joined just before that era. The overseas and the pros started in '91.
Right.
But there's sort of a change of regime around that time.
Yeah.
Steve Hollis became captain. I was vice captain for a number of years with Steve.
Yeah.
And we started changing the way we played. The club developed, evolved, and I played probably 10 years, maybe more in the first team, and over the years I've drifted down to where I now am in the fourth team.
Yeah.
But performing, I think, is a key role, which is bringing the junior players.
So that would have been Border League when you...
No, it was Derbyshire League when I...
Right, so but were you Border League when you started?
It would have been Border. I can't remember when Border League moved into the Derbyshire County League.
To be honest, 80s, I think.
Yeah, so it's when I started playing league cricket. When we started playing second team cricket with Ralph, it would still be the Border League, and we'd only have 2 teams up here. The first team would be sort of first team, second team, depending on success at the time, and the second team would be fairly well down. We just formed the second team at that time, but it would be Border League, and then so we moved with the whole structure into the county.
But no youth team when you first started. Which is interesting because there's so many. You've just talked about bringing young players through and having 4 teams now.
Yeah, my dad Mick Sanders and Ralph Taylor, who we sadly lost earlier this year, set up the junior.
Right.
And Lee talked in his earlier interview.
76,
so that would be mid-70s when that was set up, and that attracted people like Lee and Melv Clamp. Because I was always going to play here. It was sort of written in the sand, really. So, and I dragged them up, and we sort of helped form the nucleus of the junior, the under 18 team then, and then it's just junior setup's gone from strength to strength really with people like Chris, and now my brother Chris Sanders, who's also involved in the club. He now runs the junior setup. He's taken that up over from Chris.
Robin, you said you've retired, but you still play the odd game. When did you first start to play cricket? Was it at Quarndon or?
No, I started at Derby Kongs in Little Over. So I was.
When would that be? What year?
Probably early '80s.
Right.
So did all my youth cricket through that. Played sort of men's cricket in that as well. Then moved to Quolcars for a year. In 1990, joined Quarndon.
Right. What was the motive for for the move?
I knew some of the guys who were already here, and Qualcast were in the sort of division below, and I think Quarndon had perhaps got promoted, so it was a chance to play in the top division.
And that presumably 1990, because you've already said 91 was an era where or the year when things changed.
Yeah,
so
we had an overseas in 91, which was a big thing for the club, a big change.
What prompted that? How did that come about?
Correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody out there. I think we had an EGM.
Yeah,
We did.
We had an EGM when the club voted
Yeah.
to accept paid players, and I think that would probably be late 80s, 88, 89, something like that, where the club said, it wasn't a walkover by any means, but the club voted to accept paid players, and since then.
And was that because you wanted to competition?
To compete.
Yeah.
At the highest level.
The club at the time had an ambition to be as high as possible, and to do that, I think we felt we needed to buy in some talent, really.
So what sort of players did you?
First year was an overseas, wasn't it? An Australian overseas, Scott Smith.
Scott Smith.
Who played for 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
Good player?
Very good,
very good player.
Yeah, opening bat, and he could bowl a bit, couldn't he?
Off-spin bowler.
He'd drive a car quite quickly.
Through the air.
Did it change anything about the way in which you looked at the game? I only ask this because when I've talked to some clubs, they've talked about how an overseas professional just sort of changed the way they trained and the way they looked at the game. So I just wonder if that impacted here as well.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it impacts your own game.
I mean, from a personal point of view, I was 21 in 91. We had the first pro, and I probably learnt more about the game and sort of league cricket. Sort of talent will get you so far, but you sort of need to think about it more, and it just sort of. He came with a much more professional attitude, and we probably trained harder when he was there, and you got.
I think you learnt a lot from Tony Borrington, didn't you?
That's
Tony
right,
Borrington
and me,
probably 92, when we won the league in 93. Tony was one of our pros, and we all learnt a lot from him because he just knew how to win cricket games.
So this was the 93 side that won the Derbyshire County League.
Yeah.
So you were all part of that.
I may have been in and out, but I was. I think 93. Were you second team captain?
I was second team captain between about 89 and 93. So and I was in and out of the first team, playing first team, second team, all the way through my career, really, in and out.
So and who was your pro in 93? Was that Borrington's year?
Well, we had a couple because Tony played. Adrian Rollins pro'd in 93, and we also had Andy Clark, who was a leg spinner who used to play for Sussex. And I would say the best league bowler I've played with. He was magic. He just gave very few runs away, tied and end up when you could bowl 23 overs. So it was still 46 overs then. So we bowled 23 overs every week, went for about 50 runs.
And Kevin Newbold played at the other end, so tended to Kevin Newbold, who played here for a long time. So he and Andy Clark used to bowl 46 overs most
Ian
weeks.
Butcher,
he was after that. But what you'd have is Bev's brother Chris would also, if he'd bowl some overs as well. So it wasn't just the two. The two bowlers. But
and who were your rivals in the camp? Because obviously Border League you've changed because you've lost some teams, presumably the ones on the border. So who were you? Really?
Yeah, Langley Mill, West Stalham,
Darley-Dale
was still around at the time.
A
Spondon,
and B were strong.
And presumably this is. Sorry, Bab.
We're really very, from a local perspective, really very strong in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
Because we signed some good pros and we've got some excellent club players to back them up. And in the mid 90s, so we won the league in 93. Then I think we're in 3 Silver Link finals in 4 years in the mid 90s as well. So we're putting a strong side out and competing at the top of the Premier League. And
were you attracting players through that period? Were you able to get, because you all, certainly you two both came from other clubs, didn't you? Yeah. Through wanting to play at a better standard, or in your case, relocation. Yeah, that's right. And were players still looking to come and play?
Yeah, definitely.
At that time.
Yeah, and it's about that time, I think, I can't remember, when did we set a third team up? I can't remember, but it's about that time we got stronger at the top, and that works its way down, doesn't it? And we got a first team in the top league, and the second team out were playing at the highest possible level, weren't they?
We were a division below division below when we got to the highest level, we were a division below the first team, weren't we?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Good standard of cricket.
Yeah, we're playing good standard, both first and second team.
Go in Division 2.
No, we couldn't get any higher.
Because the first team was already
Yeah.
at the division high.
Yeah.
I mean, we got some good players who maybe likely who was on the fringes of the first team, second team, but certainly good enough to play a decent standard in the second team. And we got people, no disrespect to people like Malk and John Morris and Andy Acton, who were no longer guaranteed a place in the first team, you see, because we got new players in at that level and we got pros in, and they were dropping down and playing second team cricket with us, and we got a cracking side for about 10 years. And so the club at the top level then was really quite strong.
Were there any players that got away? I always ask this of local clubs, that players who you think could have gone on and played county cricket but were either missed their opportunity or just something didn't work for them?
We had some good players at junior level when we played. There's a lad called John Alpen who played junior cricket with us. Dave Jepson played, didn't he? Was that a bit later?
No,
Jeppo played with us, didn't he?
Yeah.
So there were some good young players
Might
around
be a bit
that
earlier
time.
than that, actually, Dave, thinking about
He's
it.
at Kongs, isn't he?
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But John Alpen was good.
Yeah.
John Alpen was a good player. There were one or two around at the time, local cricketers.
So when the Border League moved into the County League, and then there were lots of conditions put about on grounds and everything, wasn't there? So what was the situation in terms of the ground? We heard in I think one of the earlier interviews about, facilities were as good as they could be, but obviously they've been developed massively, haven't they? A lot of more emphasis on your pitches and your outfield and everything. So have you seen that change? Presumably when you started there were no covers.
No, there was a goat and a roller down the bottom end when I started. A hand roller and a goat.
And I think the evolution of the ground started with Walter Goodyear. Walter Goodyear came in, I don't know when it was, 93 was it?
Well, 92,
93.
Derbyshire,
Around that period, Steve Hollis took over as
must have got
groundsman.
bored because he's been retired 10 years there.
And he taught Steve Hollis about groundsmanship, and Steve's been the groundsman ever since.
Yeah.
And he was a big help because he improved the pitches quite significantly. And since that time, we've done a number of projects. We've levelled the ground because it was a very steep escarpment prior to that period. The ground's now been levelled under the chairmanship of Pete Siddle. We built the tractor shed at the bottom, and then in 2006-07 we managed to acquire the field back and develop that through some ECB funding. Finally put a pavilion on there 2 or 3 years ago. So there have been some massive changes in the last sort of 15-20 years. And the place is now probably unrecognisable for when I was first here, let alone some of these other guys who've been here a lot longer.
Looking at the game, there's a huge debate and conversation about the game at every level and about the future and getting people involved, and everybody's got an opinion. But where does Quarndon see itself as it's clearly it appears to be a very robust and successful on the field and off the field cricket club. And I'm interested, you obviously have a huge involvement with young players. You've talked about the number of different teams you've got playing in there. How relevant can Quarndon Cricket Club still be within the community and within the game in Derbyshire?
Well, I hope it stays hugely relevant. You've come at an interesting time actually, Dave, because we've had a turbulent few years, shall we say, and we've decided to not pay players anymore. So we're finding our way as an amateur club again at the moment. We're still in division. We're not plummeting down the league or anything. We're in division. First team's in Division 2. Still running 4 senior teams, 6 or 7 junior teams.
So you've managed player retention without paying players?
We manage player retention. Chris, who's at the sharp end because he runs the 4th team, would tell you that at times that's not easy. But we're still running. We're still committed to 4 senior teams, and we hope to. Whatever path the club takes, we hope to play a big part in local cricket at the top end, rather than we don't expect to go into free fall. We expect to sort of stabilise the ship a bit and then bounce back. That's the plan. But at the moment, we kind of a little bit at the crossroads, shall we say.
Do you feel a sense of responsibility? Because of course, when you all started to play cricket, schools were still playing cricket, weren't they? Whereas, unless you're at a public school, or very few non-public schools, you can't play schools cricket now. So if you don't play here, where do you play?
Yeah, exactly. And the sustainability of this club is all about maintaining the juniors. And we've had, I was junior chairman for 9 years, and Chris has now taken it on. We've had a resurgence in the last 18 months, 2 years, which is sort of almost guarantees the future of the club for the next couple of generations. But all of our success playing-wise in the last few years has been related to our junior section.
Really?
And there were times last year where 20 out of the first 22 players in the first 2 teams had played junior cricket here and had come through the 4th team. So we've got to sustain. That's why we're very keen to hang on to the 4th team, because that's the pathway from junior cricket into senior cricket.
Is there a magic? Is there a formula for that? Because everyone that we talk to in league crickets talks about that magic age of 14 when players, particularly male players, discover other things.
That's right.
Is there a magic formula? Is it how do you?
I don't think there is a magic formula. Otherwise, someone would have found it. But our philosophy has been to have volume coming through in the hope that some stick.
Right.
And my philosophy as 4-team captain is to get them involved and give them responsibility at an early age. Because if they're not participating, you lose them anyway. So I'm very keen. We try to get a ratio of 4 older players, senior players, to 7 juniors if we can. Always involve the juniors as best we can, so they get a full part in the game. It makes it difficult to manage the game. We come up against some very strong sides, full of senior players. And that gives us some challenges. But it's about balance, and I think if we don't continue to strive to have that 4th team as a pathway into senior cricket, we'll continue to lose them.
And what sort of catchment area have you got for? Because Quarndon itself is a small place. But obviously you're not far away from larger centres.
Who are also struggling badly with their setup at the moment. But mainly
Duffield are quite a strong club. They've got 4 senior teams now and a decent junior setup. Darley Abbey 3 senior teams and a decent junior setup. So we're in competition with them. We're doing the right thing. We joined All Stars last year. We've got 55 kids up here, plus parents, every Friday night from May through to the end of June. We're doing that again. We've gone into Curzon School, which is just down the road. But we're also now going into Portway. And that's a big school, and we're reaping the dividends of that. And we've got to work harder than we used to do. When we're running 2 senior teams, people would come up here think, well, this is a lovely place to play cricket, can I join? It's not like that anymore, because there's not that many people playing cricket, I don't think. So we need to work harder at attracting people and keeping them. And that's one of the biggest challenges I think we've got.
I think when me and Bev were juniors, there was a bit of a drinking culture as well, wasn't there? It was as much about
I don't know anything
about a few beers around the bar
that.
as it was playing cricket, to be honest.
I think one of the big changes now is that we don't play as much cricket as we used to. You play Sunday friendlies. You'd have midweek games as well, and nowadays people don't necessarily commit to playing even every Saturday, and it's that's quite a big issue, isn't it? It's
before we conclude this particular interview, any change to the format of the game? Do you think make any difference within league cricket? Would anything?
I think it has to change, particularly in the lower leagues with junior. 46 overs now is too long for some junior players. I think we've gone to 40 in Divisions 8 downwards. I think it perhaps needs to come down even further. Whether 46 and 50 overs is sustainable in the higher divisions, I'm not sure. My view is it's probably not. But I think things have to change. The format has to change, because players don't want to play a long game of cricket.
Interesting. Well, thanks for your time, gentlemen. Very, very interesting recollections. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.